Hello and welcome. My name is Eric. Today we'll be talking about what is this? The Sekeath office, which I missed how long it took. I think it was around 11 hours. But again, this map was made a long time ago. God. That's why a lot of it's already kind of built, because we were almost about to get to it in the campaign. Like, it might have been a real life campaign when I ran it in real life. Jesus Christ. When this game was like fresh off the fucking line, man. But I made that. Mainly was the line work, and then a little bit later on I made I just put like some very bare bone shit just so it didn't look too flat. Which is what you saw today, what we started with, and then now I'm decided to come in and build all the walls and stuff like that. I mean, like, do everything, obviously. But yeah, this one was cool. I definitely like peak level of comfort when it comes to building like multiple story things now, because it didn't even cross my mind. Usually I'm like, okay, it's time to go build the upper part. Now I'm just, I got it down. Well, we'll talk about how I actually don't have it down yet, but I have it relatively down. Also, I think a new thing that I've started to build maps, I think this build it finally cements it in on how like a totally new way I'm building maps. Because before, it may have been hard to tell because there were time-lapse, but my older videos of time-lapses, and even every time before that when there was no proof, I would build by pretty much eyeballing everything that was kind of like aligned to a grid, or just, well, everything, right? Mainly I'm talking about like grid stuff, like these walls, for instance. I don't know if you'll notice, but basically, I just hovered around where I know it's going to be. It'll either be a solid flat number, like 13 or negative 13. Or if it's in between a block, like in between the lines and not riding the line, it will be something 0.50, 13.50, so on and so forth. Oh, look. Okay, so right now I'm building the spiral staircase down because I was like, man, how am I want to leave it flat, but I want to have a spiral staircase that goes down. How can I accomplish that effect? And then it hit me. I was like, oh, I'll just make every square individual piece of like block. And then I will have each piece shrunken by, I think eventually it was like every piece was shrunk like 7 times. Like, oh no, it was sometimes, it was like, it got pretty far because it was like regular, hit the negative size thing like 5. And the next one was like 5 plus 2, 5 plus 3, 5 plus 4, 5 plus, till eventually they all kind of got smaller. You'll see it right here pretty soon. And then I also made it to where it fades. It starts on a light color and then gradually gets darker as it goes down in a spiral motion. So that also adds to the effect of dissension. But yes, want to touch one more thing. Yes, about me building stuff. The new method, way better method, and not eyeballing everything anymore. Is I didn't realize that everything. I guess just because I don't know if it's standard with every way. You can have the grid be sized because the grid can be huge. You can have it to where like the grid can be smaller, so there's even more squares on the table, or larger where there's less squares on the table and they're obviously bigger, right? I don't know. I didn't test it. If it's always going to be like wherever there's a grid, the number lines up on like either a flat 0.50 or just a flat number. I don't know. But once I kind of noticed that, it makes life so much easier because then everything is actually perfect. You can have everything on a perfect fucking thing now. So now there's not like a lot of like minor discrepancies that, you really have to look for anyway, like a lot of older maps. But yeah, it's super, super nice now. I can't get over it. I just line it up. You tell which number it is. You just punch the number, hit enter, and then boom. You don't have to worry about if you're on like an increment between increments, as I mentioned before in a past video. which I had a thought earlier while I was building. I was like, man, if they ever like make it just flat increments, I'm gonna be fucking fucked and pissed. I don't think they ever will. I'm pretty sure that's intentional. At least I hope so. I didn't put any signs in the map, which just kind of worried me. I don't even, it's mentioned in the video, like when you watch the preview video of the map, it's like, this is a spiral staircase to the vault, but I hope it reads well. I mean, I think it did. That's why I didn't put like any signs, because I don't think people that use my maps are fucking brain dead. You know, I think people can put it together that that is some sort of spiral staircase. But of course, naturally, when something leads to another area, I usually put a solid black block, and then in the description, I put where it leads to or what it does. So that's always going to be the case. So if all else fails, they can hover their mouse over that solid black shape, and it will tell them where the staircase leads. Yeah, so here I'm just putting in the floor. I'm doing that early, which I think I should start doing that first. I'm still on the fence about that. If I should start doing like the floors first or not. I think it only becomes an issue in this map. I mean, no, I don't need to do that, but clearly I was just like lazy, because you know how I check for flickering textures when like I zoom the camera out and move the camera at a distance. If there's textures aren't playing nice with each other, or like the grid or whatever, they will flicker like crazy. And if you load the map now, which I'm not gonna fix because I don't see it really a need to, because I think it falls in the realm of being just fine. The floor of the ground level of the office, this word right here, if you zoom out and you move the camera and stuff, it will flicker. But if you zoom in, it won't. Most cases, if it's really a problem, it will flicker when you're like not even that far zoomed out, or if you're pretty close. But in this case, you have to be like really far zoomed out and move the camera, and it'll flicker. So it wasn't really an issue. It wasn't really an immediate issue, I guess I should say. So I just left it in, because then I think at that point I realized when I did realize it, I already had like a lot of different floor textures, because I had the outside walkway blending in with the ground of like the street pavement. So I think I didn't think it needed to be fixing. Anyway, check it out, right? I'm making the new stairs, like the stairs presets, I guess. So now I'm having more textured staircases and whatnot. And first I started with like this weird carpet texture, because I don't even know what this texture really is supposed to be. Like the gray one that you're seeing me remove. I don't even know what the fuck it's supposed to be. It just looks nice though, whatever it is. But it was too gray. So I had to replace it with some other color to really contrast with all the damn gray that was going on with the building. So I was like, yeah, I'm definitely making that wooden staircase, because holy shit, that's fucking ugly as fuck otherwise. And this is what I was talking about. This is the kind of shit that I stop recording and just make off camera, because then you gotta watch me fumble with these goddamn staircases, and then saving my chest, I think is what they're called, when you save the objects to like your little own thingy. You know, without all this crap, you would just see, boom, a freshly ready to go staircase, and then I would put it in place and then move on. So I don't know. Like, it bugged me when I first saw it when I was editing the time lapse, and now that I'm watching it and talking over it, it's still kind of bugs me. And I think this one only slipped through the cracks because I think it was just lazy. It didn't even cross my mind like, ooh, I should just record this and see how it looks. I just didn't feel like stopping the camera to fix the staircase. I didn't think it was going to take long, and I guess it really didn't take too long, but I'm still on the fence as far as recording me making new objects and shit, because I made a fuck ton of new objects. but a lot of them weren't me needing to like align stuff. But I think I made 2 or 3, like the typewriter and stuff like that near the end. I'm pretty sure I did not. Yeah, I don't think I recorded those being made because it's just like tedious nonsense. And a lot of it is me tabbing out, so you're not a whole lot to see. So yeah, I think I'm fine not recording that. It's fuck that. As you can see, even though I know this is the thinner railing that I made last map, I still had to make sure and check that people can stand there. Because like I always say, players can't stand there or walk there. Fucking worthless. You fix it. Well, that's like a no walk area, but then that's of course intentional. But you know, it's a fucking staircase. And so things always get dicey whenever a lot of things are close to each other and it's a very narrow space. So I think in this map too, you'll notice I made a lot of things flush with the wall just because the space was fairly small, and this area I want to give the opportunity to have a lot of stuff happen. Mainly it's like combat, for instance. So if a lot of dangerous combat or whatever is going to go off in this building, I think it's good to make a lot of the objects flush with the wall. Like I said, because it's still definitely fucking reads that there's a bookcase there. You don't need to make it take up like a quarter of the block or the space it's sitting on. So yeah, definitely has stopped like putting me on the fence about whether or not I should make things thick or thin. Right now, it all comes down to if I know this space is going to need to have like a lot of moving pieces, such as people killing each other. And I don't think I did, but I feel a part of me was like, I need to make this, because this is the guard room, right? Where like the weapon lockers, this is like where the guards kind of clock in and grab their gear and shit, right? They can hang out for a bit, but part of me was like, I should have made that floor texture something else because it's like the guard room. But then I was like, no, the people that own this building are like super. Oh, I guess I should get some context, right? So the Knights of Sikhith are an order of knights. It's like an offshoot of a church called the Church of Sekeath. So they belong to the church. And essentially in my universe, the church kind of has, they claim to have like all the gods that disappeared in the world, essentially like all the gods did, right? They can talk to them in their church. So the Knights of Sekeath is like their, military branch essentially that goes around the world and polices it and makes everything nice and neat. Since the gods left, everything went to shit, right? So usually whenever the Knights of Sekeath are around, everyone's pretty happy about it. And they don't try to overstep their bounds or their control. They're pretty respectful wherever they are. It's like, hey, we want to help and we'll do whatever it takes to kind of stop this madness. Anyway, all the Knights of Sekeath and everywhere where they hail from, 90% of them are like elves. So they're really fancy and, royal. So I figured leaving the fancy floor texture in the guard room would probably be best. Because I think even in their most unsavory rooms, they would probably still have it really, really nice. So that was my thinking. Yeah, so this office is the Knights of Sekeath's little office where they do paperwork and shit like that. It's not really a spoiler, especially if you watch every video out there and it doesn't. I don't think it's a spoiler. I mean, Jesus Christ, if you really want to think about that, every video I've been releasing that's a map is technically a spoiler because I plan to use them at some point. But then again, you don't know too much of the context or anything as far as like what's in the maps when they are really like when I play them and shit. You won't know anything else. Right now, you're just getting a fucking building. So, and like a lot of the really spicy maps for the campaign that are like super pivotal, I'm never going to release those until after we use them. Like say like dungeons or any point in the story where something really, really big and plot heavy is going to happen. But then again, in my campaign, a lot of the plot heavy stuff kind of happens since the players drive the story. I mean, it can happen anywhere. So that again just makes it so fucking nebulous as far as like what these maps, fucking mean. That is really not going to be a spoiler if I'm releasing them as they are now. Anyway, that was a one hell of a fucking tangent, and I forgot what I was going to say initially. I was going to talk about the map and kind of where this building is located within the world of the story of the campaign that I'm running on the channel, right? But yeah, it's not really an issue. Actually, it doesn't really matter. Basically, it's in like this really rough country or continent, basically run by like murderers and gangsters and thieves and criminals, right? So they control a small district in the middle of the city run by criminals. And this is where they do all their paperwork and shit like that. It's like the safest place for them. And I guess, yeah. And they kind of made a deal with the criminals, like, not to be fucked with. They won't really try and fuck with them because they're not here. They respect the criminals. They're not here to stop crime in the world and like evil brought on by sentient, bipedal fucking creatures and shit like that. Like, I can't say humans in D&D, right? Because there's more than humans, like fucking sentient things that have a society. They're not really worried about stopping fucking crimes and shit. They're mainly worried about stopping like world-ending bullshit. Like, oh no, something that will really upset the balance, like fucking giant monsters coming out of nowhere because X god and Y god don't do this or that anymore because of certain things that are unbalanced in the universe. That type of thing where it's like, oh yeah, thousands of people are going to die or something outrageous is happening. Or like if there's people that are kind of like taking advantage of the fact that the gods are gone, and then they'll step in for that. Like if a lot of innocent people are suffering more than the usual, they're not going to come in and fucking have a war on drugs or anything. They don't give a fuck about that. Anyway, yeah, oh my god, that was a lot of talking about not the map. But that's okay. Eventually, these videos will come down to me not having too much to say. But hey, you never know. I mean, shit, I'm still learning new things and having new methods on how to build maps anyways. For instance, this, whoops, I shouldn't be typing my thingy. So with this is like the second floor of the office, and I realized like near the end of building both floors on how I should actually be building like other floors. And shit. And the only reason why I even built this on the ground floor first and then picked it up and put it in the sky is because I already had everything built and mapped out. Not built, but mapped out. And I mean, there was some stuff like desks and whatnot, right? The layout. Like the layout was already the way I wanted it from years ago. So that is why I didn't build it in the air from the get-go. And a part of me knew that was going to be problematic because when you always have to lift shit up off the floor and like put it in like, in the sky, it's always a bitch because then you gotta realign it with the lines again. And if you don't do it properly the first time you release all the objects and you're done, then you gotta go back in and reselect them all, which is a pain in the ass. Or you can fix them all one by one. Again, a bigger pain in the ass. So fucking nightmare. It's not the worst thing, especially since the method I am now of like aligning walls and building shit. It wasn't really too big of an issue because as long as the one piece is like kind of where you built it on the ground in the sky, then you're golden. If you've done everything correctly, which is what I'm doing, which is the method I mentioned earlier, which is when you align your objects, just do it all by punching in a number and hitting enter in the bottom left corner. That way they're all uniform on what they should be aligned with or on or whatever, right? So that doesn't make it as fucking bad because I've done this before in the past. Before I started utilizing the like XYZ manually punching in numbers and hitting enter, That was a fucking nightmare because that was before I knew, like, yeah, everything was eyeballed, so everything is kind of off. And then you're fucked. You could circumvent all of that if you don't already have something mapped out. Because sometimes when I have something like this and I want to rebuild it from scratch, kind of like the Shy Mermaid, I just take a screenshot of my screen of the map, put it in my second monitor, and then built from scratch. But I knew I was going to kind of just freeball it and just kind of change things as I go. But like in this case, I kind of wanted it to be exactly how I had it on the table. So I decided just to build it on the floor and then raise it up. But I could have done the thing where I take a screenshot, but that's just a lot of fucking double, triple, and quadruple checking every goddamn thing. And counting blocks and leaning into the monitor and like going 1, 2, 3, 4 desk 1, 2, 3, 4 desk. Like, fuck. If I can avoid that, Jesus Christ, I will try to. Anyway, so the best method for building stuff in the sky, right? At least my latest like big brain idea is just get a floor, make sure it's flat, get your floor right, put your floor out there. You don't have to worry about aligning it to anything because the floor will show you, the floor with the grid will show you where you need to put your walls, and boom, you go from there, just like you're building on the ground. Because you're starting from scratch in the air and you see your grid, everything's punched in on a uniform number, you're fucking GG, no read, that's it, done, go, you're good to go. And then just when you're ready, you've got your walls, just if any of your floor is sticking out too far on either end, just pull it in. And that's it. And that's what I should have done. I should have. And I do that on the roof because initially it was like, can't even change it again. So initially it was like a skylight. So there's this big glass like dome on top of the roof. It looks down into, oddly, thinking about it now, it would just look down into the office on the third floor, which it'd be cool. It would be cool either way, but it just, in my mind, I had thought it would help look down into the lobby, but it doesn't make sense because it's a solid fucking office, like 2 floors down and then the lobby. So that was really stupid. I don't know what I was thinking. I just thought, hey, what would be cool? Really dome skylight would be really neat, but that really dumb. At least my thinking on what people were going to be seeing. But so I redesigned the whole roof for this one. I put and that was the method I was talking about for building things in the sky. I just put the flat floor and then I built from there. And that's what kind of kicked it off for me. Sorry, I'm playing with my cap if you can hear that. Anyway. But yes, that roof turned out pretty well. Because initially I thought I was just going to make it a flat roof. And then I decided to put maybe I should wait until we get there. I don't know. I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, I put the whole extra guard shack up there with a captain's office and stuff like that too. So interesting, right? Did you just see that part where I was kind of focusing on? It was the black shapes I was putting in underneath the staircase, right? Because that's where that's technically the landing of that floor from below. See right there in the bottom left corner, there's the black with the piece, one piece of wood. That's the final step up on the staircase when you come up to the building. Which I'm pretty sure those are labeled as well when you mouse over the black shapes. But yeah, I think it's one, pretty obvious, and two, people use enough my maps, they'll know that those black shapes, if you hover over them, they'll tell you what they do or where things should go. Also, what makes me sad is we'll get back to that. What makes me sad is that I forgot to do that thing in the video of the map when I released it. You see how I'm making the map? I do this with everything I've made, pretty sure, yeah. Where I make it accurate with the height of the floor below or and above it. So that's why the second floor, I hovered it over the level, the ground floor on like the highest point, and then I just pushed it over the edge of the table, and boom, it was now, because if you were to stack up all these levels as cake, they would actually have accurate floor to floor heights. That's what I'm trying to say. Because even though it's not necessary, I think if you're giving yourself, or I think if you have the opportunity to mess with elevation, especially in this game, right? It's fucking 3D. If you're living in a 3D world, you might as well give yourself the 3D experience of having extra heights with your maps. Because I haven't talked about it before, but give me a second. Give me a second. Whoops, I bumped my microphone. Jesus Christ. Fuck, I'm knocking everything. Okay, so I haven't talked about it before, but I'm not against using it. But Roll20, the really, really popular fucking website everyone uses to play D&D and stuff, this is all my personal opinion and preferences, okay? I've never used Roll20 until I've always known about it, but I've never used it until like a year ago, and it was very brief. And when I used it, the person who got me into it, right, it was me and some other friends of mine with some other person we just met who was like running a game for us. I'm sure it's very intuitive. As a first timer, it had a lot of shit, and he just kept telling us like to do stuff, but not how to do stuff or where things were located or whatever, right? So he expected us to kind of like fucking 10 minutes into it, just kind of know how to work the program, which given enough time, I would have figured it out myself, right? It's not that hard, I know, but I just had a really, 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 really poor experience because the game we were playing was dog shit and the DM was really awful. It was not good, not fun. We actually never played again. That was supposed to be like the session 0. And like, I think within an hour after of like finishing session 0, I just told the guy like, hey, we're not going to play. That was terrible and we're not interested anymore, but thanks. And anyway, so yeah, Roll20. To what the whole thing I was trying to say is that whenever I fucking look at Roll20, it's just so flat, literally flat. And I don't like how you're everything is just flat, and it's like I'm playing fucking virtual games to get away from fucking drawing on a goddamn exo marker on a flat, dry erase board when I'm playing D&D in real life. I don't think I have personally ever done that. When I first started playing D&D, I think it was all like theater of the mind. And then I had a slight experience with dry erase dungeons, like I think again about like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago maybe. It was all pretty recent. And it's always because I was just like, oh, that looks awfully bland and boring. Because in my head, I'm like, it looks fucking amazing. But then it's like, oh, when we're doing combat or whatever, it's like I'm using a figurine that doesn't represent my character on a mat that's always like, beige with the same exact grid lines and the same expo marker whoever the person owns the fucking board, has had for the last 3 months, like, and then, they didn't clean it very well. So you got like the nasty fucking expo runoff of the whatever other dungeon or whatever. It's like, oh, we're playing in this cool, super evil dungeon with the remnants of a fucking tavern from, fucking like 12 sessions ago. It's like, ugh. Again, I prefer if I'm well aware and fucking, aware that there can be something better and that can better represent and visually, like, just to visualize what I'm seeing in my mind and what would look cooler. It's like, Yeah, if I know that exists, I'd much prefer that. And Tabletop Simulator seems to be like the best fucking tool. I don't even call it a game in this context. It is like the best fucking tool to use to play tabletop role-playing games by far. You can do, whoops, I clicked my keyboard. You can do fucking everything on Tabletop Simulator. It goes out of its way to hold you back none. It's incredible. And that's like one of the, because I played this game like when it first released in 2015, I think. So that was like roughly when, not too rough, but like, I think I started playing D&D around like 2010 or 9. But I didn't really pick up for me until when I got my hands on this game, and I barely scratched the surface on what it really could do for me in the D&D and stuff like that. So, Jesus, I'm pretty sure my water bottle was making all kinds of crazy noise. I'm so sorry. Have you been hearing that? I've been shaking it because it doesn't matter. Whatever, fuck you. It's ambience, right? You feel like you're here with the room with me, right? Mm-hmm. But anyway, so yeah, I think Tabletop Simulator is like the best, because every other fucking game that comes out that claims it's like the best at emulating your tabletop role-playing game experiences and stuff like that, it's like, I always make sure to check out, because if I can find something that tops Tabletop Simulator, I'll fucking just use that, right? So far, I have not seen anything that can top it, like at all, straight up. But not even close. Not even close. The last thing I looked into was like, the last thing I looked into was some game that it claimed it could do all this cool shit, and it was like basically just had like a bunch of preset tiles in which you could make, I guess, any kind of thing you wanted to, but still you're restricted to generic tiles. That's like, oh, this is the dungeon tile, this is the tavern tile, this is the castle tile. It's like, yeah, you got freedom, but like the illusion of freedom compared to this, at least. Holy shit. Anywho, sorry. So Tabletop Simulator is like the fucking bomb diggity. Holy fucking shit. I think I'm close. And that is why I'll use Roll20, like if I have to, or if a lot of people that I'm playing with want to, I'll use it. But I will always try and be like, hey, we should play Tabletop Simulator. I'll buy you all a copy. I've done that in the past. That's a lot of people now use Tabletop Simulator for D&D. Just showed them the way. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see myself ever wanting to, on the day-to-day, go back to anything less than this as far as map making or even playing casually or whatever. Like, I will always just be like, I'll pay any amount of money to give you guys a copy of Tabletop Simulator just so we can, one, play on that, and two, I can fucking rock your world with that shit. Like, holy fuck. It limitless. It's crazy. But yeah. So yeah, Roll20 is just not preferred for me or whatever. And every time I see it, I'm just like, ugh. It's it is very nice. I won't lie. There's a reason why millions of people use it. It's very, very nice. But it's definitely not my speed though. And I mean, I can understand that, because getting to this point to build maps like this took me years. But that was because I just didn't take the time to like learn what all I could do with Tabletop Simulator. Because I was always just happy with it being good enough. I was like, oh, that's good enough. I'll just draw lines for that. Went on for years. I was like, oh, I'll just draw like lines on the table. That's easy. I'll use the generic stuff that comes with the game. And that, hey, I was happy and that worked out well. But like, if you really wanna push the limits and take it to the next level, you can make this game give you an incredible amount of free control and stuff like that. Anyway, check this out, right? So I made the bathroom stall walls thinner. Like, I think as thin as humanly possible. So now you can sit in the bathroom stalls a lot easier and be more snug. And look at me making sure that people can stand in there. And of course, I'm putting in bathrooms. Big thanks to the YouTuber, or I don't know if he actually makes videos. I don't think he does. But someone else who comments on a lot of my videos on YouTube who uses my maps, Jackal Maru. I don't know how to. Sorry if I'm butchering your last name on your username, but just call him Jackal. He always leaves comments on like how I use my maps, and he plays Shadowrun like 3rd edition a lot with my maps, even the D&D ones, which is great because that's what I've always wanted. Is just like, yeah, they're made for D&D, but you can easily use these maps with Shadowrun or anything else. So I'm really glad someone is doing that. And he's living the dream that I wish I could be living right now. Just like, I just want to play Shadowrun 24/7. That's all I want to do. Yeah, he always leaves comments on how he enjoys my maps and stuff like that. And then one of the reasons, like, I think it happened like the day before I started building this map, he left a comment and was like, hey dude, yeah, good map. One very many minor point. There's no bathrooms on this map. And I know he was just fucking with me because I was complaining about there not being bathrooms in a different time lapse. Because I was like, yeah, eventually I'll just add bathrooms in fucking D&D maps. So I was like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. I'll pull the trigger and I will just make bathrooms. Because it's not far-fetched in stupid D&D or whatever. Plus, in my world, I was never really, in my D&D universe, I was never really sure how technologically advanced everything was, you know. But I would always make exceptions like, yeah, there's definitely airships though, you know, with like dirigibles, like, you know, the big balloon on top with the big boat in the bottom or whatever. And there's like rudimentary guns, muskets. It's almost kind of like not as far as like Dishonored's technology, but kind of close in some regards. So yeah. And it's like, yeah, why not just add bathrooms? You might as well. That way I wouldn't have to struggle as far as like thinking of what other places should fill with like certain things aside from bathrooms, because, you know, at least when you build a map, you always know you're going to need, at least for me, I always put some sort of storage room, bare minimum, bathroom, entryway, front door, back door, you know, very basic stuff like that, you know, is going to be in the map. So I don't have to worry about thinking up different shit to fill space with now. Now it's just like, yeah. And much easier to plan. That's so satisfying to watch. All the little lines get slowly deleted one by one. Running the fucking eraser over it. Love that shit. And you can see this is where I'm making I'm using this Tim Fire from Club Calypso. I'm finally getting to use it again in a map, so as you can see, right, I left the fire really big, so when the couch is like really close, I have to move the couch back, and I'm like, damn, that fire would still be melting their flesh if they were sitting like 2 spaces away. I was like, you know what I need to do? Yeah, see, like I'm trying to like give it more space, so I'm like moving the couches as far back as possible while still being on the wood. I was like, nah, I need to shrink the fire, because that shit is so big that would be fucking cooking the people sitting around it. So I shrank it. I even got to use some of the bushes up here as well, which is really nice. I know I did a lot in Minecraft. When I was building stuff in Minecraft, I would put decorative bushes all around houses or on walkways and stuff like that. And I won't do it to every map, but like, since the Knights of Sikhith, the people who own this building, are so fancy, I figured that they would definitely splurge on roof bushes. So And it kind of works out as far as like given the like I'll just always assume people are using this for D&D, right? So given the players opportunities for stealth, if they wanted to like climb on the roof somehow, they could hide behind bushes and whatnot. That kind of gives a little bit of extra layer of just things to hide behind. I noticed that because on some of my maps, some, not all, I'll kind of think of different places and build in different places and things for people to hide behind and stuff like that. Or if there's like a gunfight. At least, well, for instance, if it's like a bush, you got concealment but not cover. But yeah, but I'm putting more things like that in my maps now. Now that my brain's more on like autopilot, which I caught myself doing that on this map, but that probably lends itself more to the fact that I already had a lot of it planned out from like years ago. It's a good thing because if you're doing something on autopilot and it's something like, for instance, like making maps, I do it all the time, right? I was kind of just finding myself on autopilot. I wasn't really doing like a lot of critical thinking. I was just like, time was just passing and things were appearing. I was like, wow, fucking 3 hours passed by and I don't remember how any of this shit got here. That's a good thing though, because it gives me a lot of free time for my brain to think on other things related to the map. In this case, a lot of it was occupied by the story, as I was being very much a dungeon master while making this map. This is going to be like a really cool part of the story, depending on what happens here. Because everything's so revolving around the players in my games that they may not ever even come to these maps that I'm releasing to begin with. So, and that is exactly what I encourage people to do, is to give them the opportunity to carve out their own path in my games. Like nothing is set in stone. Like if you want to tackle something or ignore something, you can. Has to make sense, of course, and be for a good reason or some reason. Like if you're clearly just being a troll, I'm just gonna not play with you anymore because you're just like, yeah. But that's all very apparent, and I don't play with fools. So, but yeah. God, I wish I could talk about what happened on this map in like past lives, because back in the day when this was just like drawn with just lines, I used this once before. We ran this campaign fucking years ago. But I can't talk about that, which is sad. But maybe in the future, after we kind of get through this area, I would love to talk about that. It'd be really cool. Oh yeah, so to talk about the thing I didn't talk about because I got distracted, those black shapes underneath the staircases, or also see how there's a black shape right there on the top of the staircase to the roof. Every single time I copy and pasted it from the ground floor to make it hover in the sky, how it always forgets to grab those black shapes. So I did a lot of extra work I didn't need to on this map. I noticed as well. I was definitely working harder, not smarter. And I think I was just having an off day that day because I was thinking about real life stuff and whatnot. Yeah, I just wanted to comment on that earlier. Is that I kept forgetting to bring it, and every time I caught myself doing that, I just laughed, like, God damn it again! I fucked up again. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that squished sink, but I knew that the bathroom was so small already that I was like, this sink needs to not take up space. I mean, as much space. I think it still takes a little bit of space, but so the sink is like smushed into the fucking wall. This is the latest iteration of bunk beds. I couldn't, like right here, you'll see, I'm trying to attach them together, but when you do, the ladder gets all like, it gets very skewed and all fucked out of place. So that one was floating in the sky. That got really fucked up. So the ladder doesn't sit straight anymore. So what I decided to do was just leave everything disconnected and then just save them all together individually, if that makes sense. Basically, you just select everything with control click and then just right click on one of the pieces that's highlighted and then save it as like bunk bed, right? And whenever you throw it in the game from your saved objects chest, it will just throw in all the pieces the same way you had them selected and locked. So it's actually a very, very good method to save things. I'm so glad the game lets you do that. You don't need to just save one piece or multiple pieces connected to be considered one piece. You can just select like fucking 20 different things nowhere near each other and still save it. That's fucking beautiful. But yeah, so this one also, right? I had to make the logo because I've never done it before. And like I said in the past, this campaign has existed since, because I wrote this campaign initially in like high school, which is why it's so like baby's first fucking storyline. I think it's still good though. And it's never, and you know, and it's not like I wrote everything down from beginning to end in stone. That's definitely not how I do it. That's some railroady bullshit right there if that is the case, but it's not. So it's just like different story beats that could happen depending on what the characters do, right? And this campaign, of course I never wrote an ending because the endings usually derived from the players' choices and actions as they progress through the campaign. So I ran this campaign many, many times, never gotten to the end. On paper, it's not really even long. It's got a clear cut, like, path to take. It's never been finished. The furthest it's ever gotten is like, I would guess, a 75%. 75% I'd say with the story. But that was like, that only happened once out of like the total of like 8 times I tried to run this campaign. But most of the times it would die out like around the 30% mark. So most of the time when the campaign ended, it was just because I already had something written and, you know, we were just kind of playing in that moment for like a few months. No one really had any strong commitments to the campaign, even myself. But there were like at least 3 instances where we did have strong commitments to the campaign and things just went sour. And I made the call and just stopped running it because if it's not fun, there's no reason to do it. No reason. Absolutely not. If you're not having fun, you're the DM. Everybody else is having fun. Hell, everybody else is having time in their lives and they're telling you they're having time in their lives and you're still not having fun. It's happened to me many times. That's not right. You need to tell them, and then you need to also be honest with yourself first and foremost. And just, come forward and tell everybody like, hey, look, I'm not having fun, this and that. Find your reasons, understand them, and make the call. Do not fucking suffer. I've done that. Primarily as like a PC where everyone else is having such a great time. You show up to every game every Saturday for months and months and months, and then, you don't have to make a big scene. You can just take yourself out of the equation. You don't have to, if you don't want that kind of attention, you're non-confrontative, it's fine. Take yourself out of the situation entirely. Just stop showing up, make up an excuse, whatever, but just don't fucking put yourself through that shit. It's not worth it. Absolutely not fucking worth it. I said it once before in the past. I think it was like in the comment section of like my looking for players video or some shit. I think I was like, yeah, don't ever settle for less. Someone had mentioned like using the tabletop wizard thing that I was using to find players. because he was like kind of new to D&D and new to finding people online. I was like, yeah, man, the best thing I could tell you is don't ever settle for less. Find a good group of people to play with that you enjoy playing with. Don't settle for just people that want to play and have you there to fill a spot. You definitely got to make sure that you're getting a piece too. And then again, that all comes down to communication between yourself and the table. But yeah, even now though, I'm trying to find players for the channel. And I have such a fucking specific thing I'm looking for and such a high bar. You cannot waver when you're trying to find something like, that you want. Don't settle for less, man. Go for it. Also, really, it's also nice that, I did also in the meantime, I'm just playing by myself. I can't right now for reasons I haven't explained yet publicly, but yeah, I'm really excited to do that again as well. To continue playing by myself. I definitely want to, one, experience that because I already got a little bit of a taste of it and I was very, very intrigued. And two, it'd be nice to showcase what players can actually do when they're in my campaign. Because no matter how many times I've said it in the past, like just as a very tiny, tiny example, I was trying to explain to somebody like, yeah, man, do whatever you want. This is like a tabletop role-playing game where your imagination is the fucking limit. Like, do whatever the fuck you want, right? Within reason, of course. But, seriously, do whatever you want. And I gave some examples, which I just think they were like a long time player, but they weren't used to like my style of play. So everything was very like binary to them. Like through their eyes looking at the game, I could tell that much. And I was like, no, man. I kind of forgot what the example I said was. I think it's one I use somewhat often, which is like, yeah, if you're in a kitchen, like a really busy kitchen, right? And you're getting into like a fist fight with somebody or you're trying to kill somebody in the kitchen. There's like 1,000,001 ways to fuck somebody up in a kitchen that doesn't require you to just draw your sword and do a d6 damage to them every turn. And I told him like, yeah, gave him some examples and yeah, he's like, oh dude, absolutely, totally cool. But I think he was just humoring me because obviously it's a hard thing to stick to someone when like, their whole life has just been playing tabletop role-playing games in a specific way. Not to say it's bad, I'm just, they're not used to thinking outside the box in every single situation. For the sake of it just being interesting and fun, I guess. Like, more interesting and more fun, I should say. Because, yeah, I mean, why not throw like a pot of boiling water in someone's face? Or throw like 6 knives that just happen to be on the counter, you know what I mean? Like, we're not breaking the rules of the game to do these things. It's just, we'll bend them so you can do something really cool, but it's still well within the reason of the rules anyways. It's mainly just like, I don't know. Best I could say is just, yeah, think outside the box. Anyway, as I was saying though, to that end is that, yeah, I would love to just showcase what all can be done in a campaign that I'm running. There really is like no limit to the crazy shit you can attempt to do. And I just personally haven't really played with too many people. I play with a handful, but not too many people that really understand exactly what I mean by that. Yeah, wow. Spent a lot of time talking about not this map, but like I said before, I'm pretty sure that's what it's gonna come down to in later fucking time-lapse videos. Excuse me, I'm drinking a lot of water again. So yeah, this is like the meeting room or private meeting room. Because I figured if it was run by a bunch of fucking highfalutin elves, they're gonna want places to meet and discuss things, or just like private rooms that I think a lot of banks have. You can kind of take your valuables down, show them, get them approved, and then put them away in the vault. It's a little private area to show what you got, or talk about what you got before you go in and get it. Yeah, so I don't know if it bothers people or not, but like I like filling hallways with random bullshit like this. Like since like this is technically like a lower level, like the storage room kind of spilled out into the hallway. So I wanted to make it just have a little bit of extra stuff in the corner. And I don't know, a lot of maps I see, it's like you have all the available space open. Not all, of course, but like yeah, because they don't need to put that junk in the corner. But I figured it'd be nice to have it there, just to kind of flesh out the room, make it look more lived in, I guess. Okay, so it doesn't bother me, but I would be curious what other people think about that kind of thing. That's just a minor like map design detail. It's not, I mean, nothing really critical. I've just always been curious. I haven't really talked to anyone about like map building or map designing. It's just a curious question to ask. Oh yeah, damn, that floor in there, right, was fucking disgusting. So I had to replace it with this one, which is what the other private room has in it. Because holy fucking shit, it was disgusting. That blue and white tile, awful, awful, awful. Also, I hope none of this is repeating, because when I was editing this to talk over it, right, I think because when I put like the velocity envelope on the videos to make them like go really fast, I think I may have fucked up and put some. I know I caught a lot of the errors, but I don't know if I caught all of them. Pretty sure I did. Pretty sure I did though. Essentially, somehow it got past me where I would chop down the video just to the part that, is the whole video in its fastest possible speed. Because when you do put when you make it really, really fast in Vegas, and then you crank it all the way up to its fastest speed, the whole length of the video is still there, but it gives you, like, it just repeats itself. So it still fills that space, but it's just like, puts little ticks in the top of the thing. So it shows you when the video repeats. So if you just go to the very end and you find the first tick and cut off the rest, that is technically the whole video and it's full formed in just the condensed smallest version of itself. For whatever reason or not, I didn't catch it on some of these. So when I was editing the video, I was like, hey, wait a minute. I'm watching a room being built that I never saw start to be built. I was watching like the end of it being built, and I was like, hey, what the fuck? So I had to stop everything and go through the whole video and double check and make sure I didn't fuck up anywhere else. And I found like 2 or 3 mistakes where somehow that got away from me. I want to say it's because the velocity envelope bar was concealing the little tick marks on top, because it's happened before. But in future thingy things, I'm gonna like double triple check, because that shit's just annoying. Because this took like an extra fucking hour to make sure it was finished. And it's supposed to be like really easy, because all you're doing is just watching a video in fast forward motion and cutting out all the parts where I'm sitting there at my desk, tabbed out, changing fucking music on YouTube, or I'm on my phone, or I'm sitting there and just looking at the map, zooming in and out, thinking and not building anything. Those parts I edit out of these videos. So you're pretty much just seeing me build like nonstop. And the parts that I cut out are like no longer than like 2 minutes. If that. That's like, it's the longest it's ever been. I think it's like 2 minutes. And that's probably because I had to like get away from my desk to go answer the door or something like that. Okay, boom. Here's a little cut though, see? I did not record the part where I was in Photoshop making 50 different assets of just paper for desks. Although that locker is brand new. I actually made that by hand. That was a lot of fun. Of course, it was really easy to do. You make one square and then just duplicate. But yeah, the gray lockers were a lot of fun to make though, because it's obviously just something different to do. It's not like map building. So this is where a lot of that spare time took to make assets really went into. I think I spent like a whole fucking day just finding different PNG images and just popping them into the game, tweaking them. I put like lorem ipsum on a few of them, I think. I didn't include all of them into the save file for the workshop upload, because that would just be overkill. Look how many, like if you can kind of get a glimpse of that, do you see that? Like the whole line of bullshit. I'll probably go back to it to grab more stuff in a minute, but yeah, there's a lot of those things. That's why I didn't leave them leave them on the desk, because my computer is not top of the line, but it's definitely not a potato. But I do notice it's like when I'm loading the map in it from the first time from a fresh load and I have all that shit in the desks, it just takes an extra like 8 seconds. My computer is just like making ungodly noises because it's trying to fucking, load in all these assets like as fast as possible. It's like, oh my God. On my really, really old computer, when I first started doing this like in 2015, 2016, my game would crash if different save files had too much shit on them. And I was like, no. Because if other people out there who use my maps, try to load my shit and their game crashes or it takes a long time, that's just embarrassing on me, not them. Because the whole point of my maps is for anyone to use. Like I said before, I use these on my laptop with a projector. So when I play D&D in real life, I can bust that shit out. So I would hope that these maps can be used by people with laptops and mid to low end computers. That's the goal. Because I used to be that person. Plus, I like the simplicity of everything. I like how kind of clean and sleek it looks and just, simple, but very detailed. Yeah, there's no reason to fucking fill it with a bunch of bullshit and like fucking, forgot what the saying is, but basically, too much is too much. Not enough is not enough, but just right is yay. But yeah, these are my favorite bulletin board was the one you just saw. This one I brought in a couple of new ones. Those were not made by me. Those were I just found like they were just what they are, flat out from like one of the websites. I forget to get the name, but it's definitely not Unsplash. It's one of the other ones. That's either Pixabay or Pixelbay. I think it's so weird that there's two websites with the royalty free or whatever, like free images that have like such similar names. It's Pixa or Pixelbay. Yeah, we're about in the last 3 minutes or so of this video. So initially I wanted to make like a central park and have like trees and grass in the middle of the table. But that would have fucking crashed my game, or like make it take like an insanely long time to load the map. That was too far. So for something like that, and plus I would be pushing the limits to the degree of like, if I'm going to make the park in this map, I would have to make it half as good as I would like to. So I figured it'd be best just to put these buildings and call it a day. And then I'll probably end up making like a park in the final, not the final, like in a different save. I'll just make a whole new park. So it probably won't even take that long to make it, but I think it'll be really, really nice. I never actually made a park before. Yeah, like a city park. That'll be interesting. I'm excited for that. Anyway, check it out, right? So it is done. There's a logo of the Knights of Sikhith. It's just a bunch of geometric shapes, naturally triangles because I like triangles. So boom, just do that together. But I think it turned out pretty nice. Yeah, 11 hours, 37 minutes, 55 seconds. Yeah. Not too bad. I think that's going to be the average time for most of my maps. Kind of looking through all the ones I've done so far, and yeah, I was like, it's 11 hours is probably going to be the average, I would wager. Yeah, I found also, to everybody who's been paying attention to these videos, of course, office decoration. I finally did it. I took the time to make, that's where the 8 hours went, to make office decoration for medieval stuff. So there's that, mainly which is paper and like a typewriter. But, hey, it is stuff now. There are things to put on desks and shit. So that's awesome. And of course, more bulletin boards. But yeah, this map turned out great for me. I was extremely happy with this map. And I hope that you enjoy it too. But yeah, I'm really curious to see what people want to see built. So drop a comment if you want to see something built. I don't know if I can get to it, but I would love to hear what you have to suggest, because you never know. Anyway, I've been Eric. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.